This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
Hey everybody, it is the After Party live on a Friday, and I'm excited to welcome Tim Sika to the mix in just a few moments. But as we're getting ready to pop in here, I saw this from Susan Roberts, and my heart is warm and my spirits are high. Susan Roberts with a 10 says, "It is Friday, and cheers to you, Kim. As always, we appreciate you." What a lovely way to start the show, with some kind words and good sentiment, and that is all what the After Party Live is about. Kindness, good vibes, good feelings as we start the weekend. So Susan, thank you for the contribution and the lovely message. I really appreciate it. Speaking of contributions, why not start the show with big thank yous to Wes, who throws in a 5 on this Friday. So appreciate Wes. His constant support for this show is necessary and humbling, and I really appreciate it. So Wes, thank you for the 5. Scott R, Amy S, Yvonne B, thank you so much for your recent contributions, monthly recurring contributions via PayPal. Please find the information on that in the show description and in the About tab here on YouTube. And while I'm at it, please click the like button. If you have not subscribed to this show, please click the subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Please get your family and friends to click that subscribe button. They never even have to watch, but it is a wonderful community to be a part of. So we welcome all the kind people here. Yes, I'm going to talk about this Napoleon's brooch that sold at auction, not the one from the Louvre. No, not the one from the Louvre. One that I don't know if he wore it in battle or not. We'll talk about that. Before we get there, though, how about we talk about a different story, and that is moss. Long overlooked as a source of crime scene evidence. That's what researchers say, that moss could be a key witness in murder investigations because of its very nature. Whatever water, whatever nutrients it needs, it sucks up everything in the environment around it. It's like a big old sponge. And for that reason, it could function as a valuable crime scene witness. There is a botanist who works with Chicago's Field Museum. His name is Matt von Conrat. And he thinks that moss, also called bryophytes, they're part of the bryophyte family. He thinks these bryophytes, the tenacity of them, his words, can make them valuable witnesses at the scene of the crime, a crime. So he did this research, which is published in the journal Forensic Sciences Research. And it indicates that detectives are overlooking this as a potential tool, as potential evidence. He said, "I thought, why don't we look into writing a review of how bryophytes have been used in forensics?" So we reviewed 150 years of scientific literature to see how these plants have been used in investigations. And it turns out, not that much was the answer. Over a century and a half of scientific literature, the study's authors identified only 11 confirmed instances of samples of moss helping to explain unsolved deaths. The earliest case happened in 1929, when moss growth rates on a decomposing skeleton allowed investigators in Australia to determine the age of the body. The most recent example was in 2015, when experts used specimens of moss to help reconstruct the scene surrounding the death of an individual. But the researchers say that because they're so small, they have all kinds of microhabitats. So even if an area overall seems to be one sort of habitat, they can find a spot that works for them in the shade, in the canopy, even growing under grasses, and that further clues could be gleaned from even smaller organisms, often living on the moss themselves. So this means mosses can be a valuable tool for forensic scientists looking to confirm the details of where a crime scene took place. And he cited this example from 2011. After this man confessed to killing his daughter, the father pointed law enforcement toward a vague region in northern Michigan to locate the body. The study says after analyzing microscopic plant remains collected from the father's shoes, they organized a team of botanists and search volunteers to help find this girl's remains. Said there are hundreds of species of moss and dozens of species of grasses and trees living in that area, but based on the bits of moss, they knew what sort of microhabitat they were looking for. So they shrank the probable location from 7 counties down to 50 square feet of a search area. And after showing the spot to the father, he confirmed that was indeed the burial site. So this is the first scientific review of its kind now published, and the researchers hope more forensic pathologists and law enforcement officials will add moss or bryophytes to their list of potentially telltale sources of evidence. What secrets do they hold that we have been overlooking this entire time? They say the moss represents an overlooked yet powerful source of forensic evidence that could help investigators link people and places and events. Enter moss to the crime scene investigation. Hard to believe it's been around so long. I guess the the science of it maybe hasn't been around so long. I don't know. But how it's been overlooked for this long as a potential source of evidence is surprising to me. Cindy coming in. I see you, Cindy, throwing in a 10. And Cindy says, favorite part of the day, interesting and relaxing after party live stories. Thank you, Kim. And thank you, Cindy. I love the picture that you have. I think that's an Alzheimer's shirt, right? That you're involved in the setting up of the Alzheimer's walks and fundraisers. I think that's right. Hopefully my memory serves correctly. Thank you for the contribution. And I'm so glad you enjoy the show. I really can't tell you how much that means. Thank you. How about some Turons before we get to Tim Sika? Look at that. You see people writing on these amazing monuments or land marks at national parks. The graffiti, the vandalism at a Utah national park is shocking even to the visitors there. Crazy. Last week, reports of graffiti surfaced at Arches National Park. It has remained open during the shutdown. There's a very, very thin staff. The services there have been reduced, so maybe not that much oversight. The vandalism first discovered by a retired National Park Service worker who says the white paint looked fresh when she came upon it on November 5th. They'd been walking along to the Landscape Arch, which was a popular park destination and the longest arch in Northern America, when they came upon this vandalism, these images, including handprints, smiley faces, the word grug, Grug, which apparently is some kind of character from an online game. The graffiti's still there after more than a week, along with fresh-looking carvings in nearby sandstone. This is just the rudest. It's all visible from the main trail. You could see more of the story in SF Gate with more pictures as well. It's just so frustrating that people don't take care of our national treasures and our national resources. So here it is from afar. I have another picture though to show you as well. I don't know, are you as frustrated about this kind of stuff as I am? Because it makes me so angry. I know we're supposed to be calming down. Calm down, Kim. Chill out. Here's another look at it. Really? That's what we're doing now? I hope they catch the people. I really do. Ugh. And not even, I mean, paint you think could be blasted off, although what damage will that do? But also the carvings. So frustrating. One of the people quoted in SF Gate as a park visitor says, I've been to the pyramids in Egypt, which are the pinnacle of what mankind can achieve. But Arches shows what God and nature can create, and it's every bit as inspiring. To see the land intentionally damaged is really, really shocking. So the state of Utah trying to keep their parks open through the shutdown, they had provided $8,000 a day to run the visitor centers, to keep the restrooms clean, to maintain the roads, because they know that fall is among the busiest times for tourism in their state. And hopefully they'll reopen and they'll have the staff ready to clean it up. But what an utter disappointment how awful people can be. But also how wonderful people can be, right? Because we know it's time for At the Movies with Tim Sika, and he is so wonderful. It's Tim Sika, everybody. Hi, Tim.
Hi, Kim. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Good. No, not bad.
How's the week?
The week is good. I thought we were going to get some more rain today, but is it raining where you are? It's not raining over here.
It's been a little drizzly, but not much rain. Boy, the other night though, it sounded like the world was falling on
I
top of my
know.
house.
I think it was yesterday here. Yeah, it was pretty heavy over here in Campbell, but not much today. So, and I always welcome the rain because it makes the air smell so good afterwards. And
It does. You know what else? It's perfect movie watching weather, I think.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Well, what a great segue into what we're going to talk about.
The first movie you have for us is it Frankenstein?
Frankenstein. Yeah. Have you seen it yet? It just dropped on Netflix. It was playing in theaters.
Okay.
But it just dropped on Netflix, and this is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein getting yet another cinematic treatment. My gosh, there have been so many Frankenstein movies.
I know.
It really, but this one is from filmmaker and Oscar-winning director Guillermo del Toro. I'm talking too fast here. Whose 2017 monster movie, The Shape of Water, was accorded, a truckload of Academy Award nominations. I think it was 13, and it won 4, including Best Director and Best Picture. Well, I personally think this Frankenstein is a much better movie, I think, than The Shape of Water, but that's neither here nor there because we're not going to compare them. But like in The Shape of Water, the monster here in Frankenstein, effectively rendered by Jacob Elordi, a young actor, is humanized. And as I was watching this and I'm thinking about it afterwards, I kind of came to the conclusion that this hasn't been, I wouldn't say this was a banner year for movies, but I mean, people say that every year, but I think that this one may well be one of the best pictures of the year. It's divided into 2 parts. The first part is, and this is where it's a little different from its predecessors. The first part is primarily from the perspective of Dr. Frankenstein, the quote unquote mad doctor who creates this monster. And he's played by Oscar Isaac. And the second part of the movie is from the perspective of the monster himself. So that's kind of interesting. And yeah, pretty much everything about this movie worked. Everything from the acting to the look of the film with its astonishing production design and breathtaking cinematography. It's just so beautiful to look at. And the script's excellent. It's faithful enough to the Mary Shelley novel with some new additions by Del Toro. And it's a literate and moving motion picture experience with some great dialogue exchanges, visually positioned and shot almost like a Gothic opera. It's so grandiose. Even if you're familiar with many of the previous cinematic Frankenstein iterations, the famous Universal Frankenstein, the first 2 James Whale movies, Frankenstein and The Bride of Frankenstein, the Hammer film Frankenstein movies, the Kenneth Branagh version with Robert De Niro as the monster, I still think dyed-in-the-wool fans of Frankenstein will find a whole lot to love here in this latest Frankenstein movie, written and directed by Guillermo del Toro, and it's now streaming on Netflix, and I recommend it.
Why do you think this story, which has been told and retold, what is it about Frankenstein that keeps us coming back and keeps people retelling? Are there different angles here? Is there a whole other side to the story that we've missed? Why do we keep going back here?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there are just some what's the Jungian thing? I think there's some archetypal things in this story about, I don't know, like playing God, playing God, creating life. Maybe some grist about maybe the monster is actually really us, or we're no different from the monster. I think there's universal truths that are subtextually active in this story that they don't hit you on the head, but they're there somehow. It's just like, I'm just trying to think of any film that any film that's like constantly remade and stuff. Obviously there's something, and I'm trying my best here to answer that question. There's something in those movies that speaks to people's souls, which is why they keep remaking them. Again, this one is a little the difference with this one and the others is that the way it's laid out. There's two halves. The first is from this perspective of the doctor who created the monster, and the second half is from the monster's perspective. So that's in itself interesting and allows for sort of different I don't know, extensions of some of the things I've been just trying to articulate. It's just, and it's close enough, and yet it's different enough to make for another good watch. And I've seen just about every Frankenstein movie that's ever been made. This one's really up there. It's really, really good.
This comment from John Watson, I did not know this. He says Mary Shelley was only 18 years old when she wrote Frankenstein. I didn't realize she was so young.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she was a mere child when she wrote that. Yeah. When she wrote Frankenstein. Yeah, John's correct.
Ophidian says my favorite Frankenstein's monster was Herman Munster.
Oh, there you go, Herman Munster. Oh well, we don't want to forget Young Frankenstein, right? Either the Mel Gibson, the Mel Brooks movie. Yeah. Yeah.
So, Eileen saw it, said Frankenstein was wonderful, so enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, it was playing in theaters, I think, for about 2 weeks, as is Netflix's want during award season. They do a qualifying theatrical run so that the movie gets considered for Academy nominations, and then it goes right to Netflix. It's a beautiful looking film. I did see it on a screening link, but I imagine in the theater it's quite an amazing experience. It's an amazing experience watching it on a computer screen, let me tell you.
This next movie is called The Alabama Solution.
Oh God, yes. Yeah. This is a brilliant, sober, and devastating new documentary. It's co-written and directed by Andrew Jarecki, of capturing the Friedmans. Kim, did you ever see that? It's that movie put this guy on the map. It was a 2003 investigative piece about child molestation. It was really intense. Anyway, this one, The Alabama Solution, it's now streaming on HBO Max, and it is just wow. It's a damning indictment of the Alabama prison system, which, according to this movie, reeks of corruption and brutality and exploitation of its incarcerated men, who, via the use of contraband cell phone footage, which the inmates surreptitiously shared with the filmmakers, shed a light which should outrage anybody who watches this movie on what is going on inside the Alabama prison system, where prisoners are basically treated like animals by sadistic guards. I mean, the disturbing cell phone footage that we get to see in this movie speaks for itself. It's like the Alabama prison system is this cesspool of corruption, bribery, physical brutality, and by any other name, it's just another form of human slavery, and they go into detail on that. But it's a shocking and unsettling movie, which not only exposes the Alabama prison system's corruption, but also exposes the racism and outright ignorance of Alabama's political leaders. I mean, the governor, the woman governor, I can't remember what her name is, you just want to shake her. I mean, these people are way more, my takeaway, these people are way more interested in money than they are in prison reform and the rehabilitation of its incarcerated men, who are primarily, guess what? African American, right? No surprise there. And one of the astonishing statistics in this movie that kind of just stood me on my ear was that every year, these incarcerated workers produce over $450 million in goods and unpaid services for the state of Alabama. Can you believe that? And that's only a fraction of what we learn in this movie. And what is the Alabama solution? It's build more prisons and ignore the serious examination of the root cause, which is at the core of this issue. Alabama prison officials and politicians aren't focusing on anything resembling rehabilitation. Simply put, all they care about is money. And the movie goes into that in great detail. I was disgusted. I was moved and just outraged over what the Alabama solution captured on film. It's an incendiary piece of work, something all of America should see and be up in arms about. I mean, it is. There she is. Oh,
Governor Kay Ivey is her name.
Kay Ivey, that's right. She's a very smug lady, very ignorant too, and very racist too. Anyway,
I'm willing to bet that those prisoners don't have those cell phones anymore after this release of this movie.
Yeah, I wondered about that. Yeah, probably not. Well, they're not supposed to. Apparently, there was a technicality in the film that it's illegal for them to have cell phones, but it wasn't because they're incarcerated, but it was determined, I guess, in the courts that it wasn't illegal for the filmmakers to use this footage because, they were on the outside looking in. But it's an incredible movie, and it's a nail biter too. I mean, you can't look away, but at the same time, it's hard to look at. What you see is very difficult to digest, that this stuff goes on. And there's, these guards are dealing with drugs and they're feeding them to the addicts who they abuse. I mean, it's just, it's a very good film, but it's also very intense and, not a lot of fun, but it's worth seeing for sure. And it's on HBO Max
It
right
seems
now.
like one of those movies that you don't want to see, but you need to see, right?
Yeah. Yeah, what do they call those?
So that because you can't look away from something like this. It can't ignore it.
Yeah, what do they call them? The Eat Your Peas movie, or I think they call these kind of movies. It's good for. Eat your peas. Yeah, it's good for you, but you're kind of going as you're chewing.
But you don't want it.
You don't want it. Yeah.
Well, it's totally necessary because whether you want your peas or not, we go through life having these opinions and having these thoughts, and a lot of people think, well, they're criminals, they're their fault for breaking the law, they reap what they sow, right? Deserve what they get. But until you see something like that, and I haven't seen this movie yet, but based on your description of it, until you see something like this, you can't really form a correct opinion until you have all the information about what's really happening in our country to these people and our cruel and unusual punishment that we're doling out in situations like this, which is unconstitutional. So we have a choice to make. Are we American, and do we stand for certain things, or do we not?
Yeah. Vote for Kim McAllister for Congress. Really.
Don't vote for me.
And they interview too on camera one or two of these guards, and these guys, I mean, they get off beating the out of some of these prisoners. I mean, they enjoy it. And what's interesting is they're shown footage like, you did this. You bashed this guy's face in when he was not resisting. Look, and you killed him. And the guy, I can't remember his name, one of the guards is like, I don't remember that. No, I don't remember that. So, I mean, total denial. I mean, it's an amazing, shocking movie.
I wonder if there have been consequences because of this movie.
Well, I don't know. It's only been out. I'm trying to catch up with some of the documentaries that are being considered for awards, which is also the next one I'm going to talk about. But this one's been out about, I think, a week and a half. I don't know if it probably did a qualifying run, but it's mostly on HBO. I don't know. That would be an interesting question to ask the filmmaker. Like, is it having any effect?
Tammy says people are a money-making commodity in the prison system, very corrupt. Myra's saying there's enough sad and tragic stuff happening daily. Yeah, it's painful. This is painful to see this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so we move forward with our next movie, and this one is called, is it Riefenstahl?
Yeah, you got it. This is another enraging but superb documentary film. I think this may be the fifth or sixth documentary about Adolf Hitler's Third Reich film director, darling. Her name was Leni Riefenstahl. And, we all know Riefenstahl was and remains a controversial figure. There's several ways to look at her. On one hand, her brilliance as a film director could be argued, and you could say, yeah, I mean, she was a master filmmaker, and she was second to none in a lot of respects, most technical, but also in the end very emotional. However, the application of that brilliance was and always will remain in moral and ethical question. And I think this latest documentary, thank God, once and for all, because all of the other docs about her were made while she was alive, so she could sue them for defamation. This one was not. Leni Riefenstahl died, I think it was in 2003. She was 101. I don't know what it is about these Nazis that they live forever, it seems. But so anyway, so yeah, this latest documentary, once and for all, because she's not here to really answer, although we do get some footage of her being defensive as hell, paints her as the narcissist, egotist, artist who felt that the ordinary rules of life did not apply to her, Nazi sympathizer and hardwired fascist that at her core she truly was. I don't care how quote unquote great a filmmaker people like Quentin Tarantino, Madonna, and Andy Warhol thought she was. She should now and forever, in my opinion, forever be condemned to the hell of human history for all time for using her art to further and celebrate Nazism, for her racist remarks, for her racist views, for her worship and friendship of Hitler's architect, Albert Speer, until his death in 1981, and for using children as extras in one of her movies that went on to be, these kids went on to be murdered at concentration camps like Auschwitz or Dachau. She epitomizes, in my opinion, the basic flaw in the German character. Well, I guess basic flaw in the human character really is more accurate, that of human superiority, which allowed Hitler to rise to power through her art, her ego, her narcissism, and in the end, her refusal to admit and take responsibility for the role she played as the woman who documented on film the Nazi menace and in the perpetuation of the Nazi regime. Because let's face it, I don't know if you've ever seen it. If you ever get a chance, it's online. There's a movie she made called Triumph of the Will, the film for which she will be best remembered. That film was so powerful that when American filmmaker Frank Capra, who was a very big director in the 30s and 40s, multi-Oscar winner, he also made a series of World War II U.S. propaganda movies. When Frank Capra saw that movie, he exclaimed in abject horror that something like, we the U.S. can't possibly win this war. So she also made a film for Hitler called Olympia, which documented the 1936 Berlin Olympics. Anyway, I could go on. This story, this woman, this defiant, self-absorbed, self-obsessed, selfish woman, she really, watching this made my blood boil. And, there's much here that will rile any rational, compassionate, sympathetic, or empathetic viewer, especially when we set alongside what the world politically is going through now. When we watch this movie and what we're living through now, it's particularly, I don't know, disturbing, upsetting. Anyway, it's a great movie. It's a great documentary, and also one of the best films of the year. So I recommend it. It's streaming on Amazon Prime. So
did you say this is one of the best movies of the year?
Yeah, it's probably going to go on my list if I ever get around to putting one together.
Okay. I wonder, is this going to be, you think, considered for best documentary at the Oscars?
I believe, well, yes, it's in contention for sure.
Okay.
But we'll see, as with these movies too, it's like, money is the critical factor. Are the distributors, do they have enough money to do an Oscar campaign and get this movie in front of Oscar voters? We'll see. But it's a great film. Yep.
Your next selection is called In Your Dreams.
Yeah, this was a nice surprise, especially Kim, when viewed in context of the dozens and dozens of animated features being released today, which have a similarity of feeling and style to them. This has some of that, but I think it goes, a step beyond. Okay, so the premise of In Your Dreams, It's kind of refreshing. Okay, yeah. So I should say that this is a feature-length animated film. It's the directorial debut of an animator named Alex Wu, who worked at Pixar on some of their big animated movies. He kind of set out on his own and he started a new studio for animation. And it's about a little girl named Stevie and her brother named Elliot, who magically travel into the world of dreams in search of the Sandman, who would grant their wish of saving their parents' marriage.
Oh,
And so, yeah, this is the
how
story.
sad, kind of in a
Yeah,
way.
well,
You know?
it kind of is. Yes, it kind of is, but it also kind of is not. I mean, yeah, this is where I think it kind of stands out from recent animated fare and even some of Pixar animated fare. So it's a story too of the wonder and the magic of dreams and what they may mean, nightmares and what they may mean and how to get past them.
Right.
There's some stuff in here about lucid dreaming, the pain children go through when they see or when they sense that there might be cracks in their parents' relationship, how that affects them, the difference between reality and fantasy, how love in a family can survive even when life doesn't go according to plan. I mean, there's lots of stuff like that kicking around in a film that's is ambitious technically as it is gorgeously animated. It's got vivid imagery and some really imaginative set pieces. The brother-sister dynamic between Stevie and Elliot is really touching and very, very believable. And there's a lot of truth in that. There's also a lot of truth about the film that's undeniable, is where it's a way to look at life that's empowering for kids, even when life can be messy. So I don't know, what am I saying in summation? I guess, this is a visually stunning, deeply emotional film about love and family and the courage to face our fears, our everyday fears, whether we're dreaming or whether we're awake. Mm-hmm. So I highly recommend it, especially for family viewing. It's a nice movie to watch around the holidays too, I think. And it drops today, I think, on Netflix. So
this goes immediately on my weekend list for Jacob and I. Yeah.
I think you guys will really, really like it. And it's very sophisticated too. It's not, I think the wee ones will enjoy some of the fantasy about it, but it's for kids of all ages, even the older ones, younger teens too. It's excellent movie. Yeah.
Well, if I can corral my teen, I'll try to bring her in, but she's so busy now, so it'll.
I know. She's on TV and everything.
Did you see that? I think that's
did.
awesome. Yeah,
that is awesome.
For people that don't know, Julia, who is 16, is the drum major of the Petaluma High School marching band, and she was in the background. It was a background. It was film of her marching in the Veterans Day parade, but they used it and they talked over the video. So that was pretty cool.
Kim, I can't believe you said she was 16. I remember talking to her on the air live on KGO once or twice about movies when she was like 8, I think.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah, she was really young. And I remember she was really smart. And she had, I can't remember what we were talking about, but I thought, oh, geez, whatever she said, I thought, God, I totally missed that. Out of the mouths of babes, I thought at that funny? Moment. Yeah.
She is a smart one. That Julia. It's funny because my kids know you. They feel like they know you.
I feel like I know them as well.
We'll be scrolling through movies and they'll ask, well, what does Tim Sika say about this one? What did he say about this one, Mom? So you're a big name at our house always.
Oh boy.
But I can picture this weekend, if it's rainy out, Jacob and I with the hot chocolate and snuggling on the couch watching In Your Dreams. You've got my weekend all set for me. I'm excited now to roll into it.
All right. Goody.
Your classic movie recommendation of the week this week is Romeo and Juliet. This one's from 1968.
68. Now, have you seen it?
I have seen many Romeo and Juliet movies, but I don't remember if I've seen this one. And if I have, it's been a really long time.
Well, this is the film that got me into, or rather emotionally connected me to, the work of William Shakespeare. I mean, I had read, I had read Shakespeare in 9th and 10th grade, The Merchant of Venice and Romeo and Juliet and Hamlet and all those. But this movie This movie got me to love Shakespeare. It's Franco Zeffirelli's very sexy, sumptuous, action-packed, adrenaline-fueled, thrilling, and emotionally devastating. It's really, really sad. Screen adaptation of Shakespeare's tale of two doomed lovers, both from feuding families. Juliet, of course, of the House of Capulet, and Romeo of the House of the Montagues. And to people listening who think Shakespeare is dull, uninvolving, or boring, I challenge them to watch this movie and not be caught up in its energy and its storytelling and its youthful verve and eroticism. This is a very erotic but tasteful adaptation. And this, to my mind, is the first and only cinematic telling of this story where the leads were cast according to the ages indicated in the play. Juliet, played by Olivia Hussey, in that photo there, was 15 when she was cast, and Leonard Whiting, who played Romeo, was 17. And they're both beautiful to look at, and they radiate such energy and sexiness that it's impossible to not get caught up in their romantic plight. I love this movie so much. Everything, mostly every choice of the director's works in concert here, with the one glaring exception of Zeffirelli chopped out Juliet's potion speech. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. But everything about this film works, from its stunning visuals to Sir Laurence Olivier's narration of the piece, from its superb production design and Oscar-winning costumes to its commercial success at the box office. And yeah, it's deeply moving. It's emotionally powerful. The Nino Rota music score, I know when you hear it, you'll say, oh, that's where that theme came from. But watch the film with a box of Kleenex close by. That's all I can tell you. It's a great, great movie. One you can watch again and again, and one by which you'll still be deeply moved and totally transported. The period recreation of this movie is so detailed. You really feel like you're back in 14th century Verona where the story takes place. But this is just a fabulous, fabulous movie. And so, like I say, you have to watch the film with a box of Kleenex next to the TV. It's very sad, but it's like, you know, what's the phrase? You know, you go and you have a good cry. It's a good cry. You feel good afterwards because, it's a classic tragic story of two doomed lovers who are from feuding families who hate each other.
If she was 15 when the movie was filmed and he was 17, and you're saying the movie was super sensual, is there something there that maybe
I don't know. You know, this was a different time. It was 1967 when they shot it. I think they probably, I don't know if they could have gotten away with what they did. In fact, I don't know a whole lot about this. Olivia Hussey died, I think, a year ago. She had breast cancer. She died, but she and Leonard Whiting sued Paramount. It was kind of a flimsy lawsuit about being sexually exploited. Now it was 55 years later, so they had trouble. I think they tried to sue several times, but the judge kept throwing out the lawsuit. So I only bring that up to say, I think they might be able to make it today with actors that age, but it would have to go through a lot of what's the word? You know, a lot of whatever. A lot of people would be involved. Decisions would have to be made. The filming would have to be, you know, there'd be intimacy coordinators, I'm sure, on camera, because they're both naked in the movie.
You brought a lot of memories out for people with this one. Tammy says, I saw it in 9th grade literature class.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wes also says, I remember watching it in high school in the 80s. Teacher rolled on the TV on a cart with the old Betamax tape.
Interesting.
So,
yeah.
Eileen says, my friend and I took the train to San Francisco to see this when it first came out. We were teens and thought this movie was amazing.
Yeah, it did have a big, its primary audience were teenage moviegoers. They were just, because of the age, they were able to relate to the age of the characters. Yeah.
Teacher Lori says, oops, sorry, you must see this. Beautiful. It was R-rated in 1967 because of butts. Yeah. She says, my mom took me since I was 11. Your mom was okay with butts. That's all right.
Yeah.
And then Muriel says, I remember this. I was so young. This movie is why I became a cinephile, but I
Mm,
didn't know it yet. I was
mm,
transfixed and it has not become dated for me.
yeah.
And Miriam Margolyes, I don't know who Miriam Margolyes is.
She
I don't know.
may be, I could be wrong. Is she the nurse? Does she play the nurse
Mm.
in it? I'm not sure. I'd have to check. But see, I mean, yeah, people love this movie. I mean, yeah, people love it.
Yeah, Miriam Margolyes, British Australian actress. Um,
Do you have a picture by any chance?
yeah, but it's when I look at her, I see I
Or
see the
maybe she played the mother.
when I
Uh,
look at her, I see for the character from Harry Potter. That's what I here's a picture of her. Wait, hold on. I have to take this other picture down so that I can bring this picture up. It'll take me half a second. Hold on.
that's okay. I'm liking looking. Yes.
There she is.
No, wait. I don't. No, I don't. I don't
No?
think. No, I don't think it was her. Yeah, she was in Harry Potter, but
Mm-hmm.
the actress. I'm blanking on her name. The woman that played the nurse looks like her, but it's not. It's not. I believe it's not the same actress.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
She's a good
Anyway.
actress anyway. We like her
Oh yeah,
anyway.
she's great. Yeah, and she's
Yeah.
great in Harry Potter. Yeah, for sure.
All right, we'll do the recap, Tim Sika. The first movie that you reviewed for us is Frankenstein. You said you think this may be one of the best movies of the year. Excellent script. You said it's beautiful to look at. It's shot like a gothic opera. And fans of Frankenstein will find a lot to love about this movie. You highly recommend Frankenstein. Of the Alabama Solution, you said the movie is made from footage from cell phones carried by prisoners. It's shocking. You said it's unsettling, that it exposes the prison system, the corruption, the blatant racism. This movie you called incendiary, and then said everyone should see the Alabama Solution. You recommended it's on HBO Max. Also, I should say Frankenstein is on Netflix. Reifenstahl. It is a documentary about the propaganda filmmaker in Hitler's Germany. Of this movie, you said you're disgusted by this woman, Leni Riefenstahl, that she allowed her art to be used for such ugliness. The story of this woman, Tim, you said it made your blood boil. And seeing it in the current political climate was even more distressing. But it is, you said, a great documentary, and you called it one of the best movies of the year.
Yep.
Riefenstahl. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Next movie is In Your Dreams. And you said this was a nice surprise. A lot of good messages in this movie, gorgeously animated, imaginative. You said it's visually stunning. There's a touching sibling dynamic, which we need a lot of around this house. A good example of how to be nice to each other.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
and you said it's a way to look at life that is empowering for kids. It is called In Your Dreams, and it too is on Netflix and it drops today. And your classic movie rec of the week is Romeo and Juliet from 1968, which brought up a lot of memories for the people here. You said watch it with the Kleenex because it gets you a little emotional. You said
Yes.
deeply moving. It's also very sensual. And the period recreation is amazing. You said it makes you feel like you're back there with them in a different time and place. And you said this is a movie that is worth rewatching or watching for the first time from 1968, Romeo and Juliet.
And
Thank you.
that's a wrap.
That is a wrap. Teacher Lori writing, agree, Leni Riefenstahl complicit, no excuses.
Yeah.
Talent does not excuse horrific behavior.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree completely. Yeah.
And we've got a question for you. This one comes from Susan, who says, Tim, have you seen Mr. Bates versus the Post Office? It's a movie out of the UK, but it's super good.
Oh no, I'll make a note of that. Mr. Bates versus the Post Office. I will check. I'll do my best to check it out. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let us know what you think of it.
Yeah. Thanks, Susan. Yeah.
What else? Oh, how about Romeo and Juliet? Great cars, great guns, no telephones. I don't know. Okay.
Yeah. I don't either.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
All right, Tim, you are just a prince, a prince from
Oh, gee.
the ancient times to come back
Yeah.
every week and give us the good stuff at the movies with Tim Sika. Have a really great weekend, Tim.
You too, Kim, and thanks for having me, and I'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for being here. Bye,
Okay,
Tim.
you betcha. Bye.
Bye. That is At the Movies with Tim Sika. Thank you for all your comments. And I love how you guys always wait for his classic movie recommendation of the week. I get when he's not here, which is rare, I get so many messages like, "Oh, what's did he leave us a movie recommendation for a classic?" Susan says, "Thank you, Tim. I loved it. It has great messages." I'm not exactly sure what movie you're referencing, but I do love to have Tim's commentary here every week because I said it's big at my house, so it's great to see that. Cindy says several parts of Mr. Bates and the post office, all true, aggravating story. Yeah, we'll have to see it. A lot of thank you, a lot of love for Tim, from Myra, from Ren, from Yvonne. So always a fun part of Friday is At the Movies with Tim Sika. And thanks to Tim and everybody with that segment. All right, let's move forward. I have some other stories to present to you, including the brooch. Who wears a brooch to battle? I mean, you have to, the ego that you would need to fasten diamonds to your military uniform and march into battle. This is a diamond brooch that Napoleon lost while fleeing Waterloo, and it just sold at auction. Sotheby's says this Napoleon brooch went for $4.4 million. So Napoleon drops this brooch in the early 19th century as he's fleeing from the Battle of Waterloo, and it sold in Geneva at this auction for 3.5 million Swiss francs, about 4.4 million US dollars. And the good thing about this brooch is, you can not only wear it in battle, you can wear it as a pin, you can wear it as a pendant, you could wear it a million different ways. It's so flexible. It's got an oval diamond weighing more than 13 carats, surrounded by smaller cut diamonds as well. So, auctioneer said this historical, highly important diamond jewel was part of other personal belongings that the emperor had taken with him to Waterloo, including medals, weapons, silverware, a hat, a jewelry box with dozens of loose diamonds, because, nothing says I'm fighting a war like diamonds, as well as other jewelry. In his haste, they say, to flee Waterloo, where his armies had been overwhelmed by the combined forces of the British and Prussian armies, Napoleon had to abandon some of his carriages when they got stuck in a muddy road a few miles away from the battlefield, including the carriage containing these precious belongings. The sale price, a lot more than the end of the pre-sale estimate of 200,000, is it francs or francs? The hammer price, 2.85 million francs, excluding fees and other charges that were included in the final price. The identity of the seller has not been released. It is a private collector. The brooch and a few other items were actually offered to the Prussian king, Friedrich Wilhelm III, as battle trophies in 1815, 3 days after the Battle of Waterloo. The brooch and other belongings remained among heirlooms of the Prussian royal house for centuries, and over the last few years have been part of a different private collection. Among dozens of lots on the auction block, a green beryl, Beryl, weighing over 132 carats, which Napoleon was said to have worn at his 1804 coronation. That jewel went for a hammer price of 838,000 francs, more than 17 times higher, the high-end pre-sale estimate. There's a diamond expert here that said the sale took on added allure in the wake of the robbery of the Napoleonic jewels from the Louvre. The thieves made off there with 8 pieces in broad daylight and dropped one as they made their escape. Arrests in that case have already been made. They said, though, that because of all the news surrounding the Louvre theft, Given the recent Louvre heist and the provenance of arguably the most famous French figure in history, they're not surprised the jewel achieved a majestic 3.5 million francs. The brooch arrived at a moment of renewed global fascination with Napoleonic jewels, and its story, they say, is irresistible. Would you look at the size of that big old fat diamond? That is amazing. Yeah. Don't have the francs to pay for it, but just wow. So it sells at auction. Here it goes. Uh, I have a story about, and I I just was fascinated by the picture. This one comes from SF Gate, and it is a story about this giant dome thing that sailed into Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. I think I have a picture I can show you. My apologies. My picture isn't working for some reason. Oh no. But it's a weird looking dome. Let me see if I can show the picture to you. And when it sailed into Pearl Harbor, boy, did it attract a lot of attention because it's just so strange looking. If you saw this sailing in through the bay, wouldn't you be like, hey, what the heck is that? All right, here's a picture of it. I think this will work. When is that sailing into Pearl Harbor? Just wow. This is a massive dome-like structure that was drifting in the ocean and then sailing right into Pearl Harbor earlier this month. People took a lot of pictures. They were posted all over social media, but it is part of a routine US defense operation. It's called the Sea-Based X-band Radar. It's an advanced missile defense system that tracks and identifies hostile warheads while they're in flight and then transfers the data to interceptor missiles so they can destroy those missiles before they reach their targets. That, according to the US Department of Defense, this X-band is the world's largest radar of its kind aboard a moving ship, and it docks at Pearl Harbor for routine inspections before returning to port in Alaska's Aleutian Islands. But what a sight to see that coming in. It measures larger than a football field. It's based off of a fifth generation oil drilling platform. They have semi-submersible radar, and it's like a floating military base. There are living quarters here, workspaces, control rooms. The bulbous radar dome and the unique shape have apparently captivated people over the years. This X-band radar is deployed for testing and operations for the country's ballistic missile defense system, and it's already been seen in Hawaii several times. But every time people catch a glimpse of it, it just brings in more attention because it's just so strange looking. I have a story, interestingly, also out of SF Gate about this new study out of Stanford and breaking, really, news and information about why some people develop lupus and others don't. So, pretty groundbreaking study out of Stanford. And I have to get a picture of Stanford for you because we can't do the story without a picture, right? Here's Stanford. This is where it all went down, not in the church, but out at Stanford. The story is that they have solved this long time mystery, medical mystery. In a new study published in the biomedical journal Science Translational Medicine yesterday, Science Translational Medicine, researchers revealed for the first time how lupus affects more than 200,000 Americans. They say it develops when the immune system attacks healthy cells, which leads to multiple symptoms like fatigue, rashes, hair loss, organ damage. This condition can be mild or it can be life-threatening, and it has no cure. There are medicines people can take to lessen the symptoms, but there is no cure for it. So researchers have known for years that this other virus, the Epstein-Barr virus, is an extremely common virus that mainly spreads through bodily fluids like saliva, and that it had appeared to have been linked to lupus. About, they say, 95% of adults have the Epstein-Barr virus, which is one of the most common causes of mononucleosis. Once you have the Epstein-Barr virus, it stays dormant in your system, and then it rarely causes infection after the initial infection. But the professor of medicine and the chief of the Division of Immunology and Rheumatology at Stanford, his name is Dr. William Robinson, is the lead author of this study. And he says for decades, researchers have been unable to understand why just a fraction of people with the Epstein-Barr virus develop lupus. It's been an enigma to figure this out. So, researchers at Stanford, along with those at the University of Massachusetts School of Medicine, the Department of Veterans Affairs in Cincinnati, University of Oklahoma, they looked at the impact of the Epstein-Barr virus on a type of immune cells called B cells. B as in boy. They're white blood cells that work by identifying antigens, the markers that signal the body when a foreign agent has arrived. Once the B cells identify the antigens, they release antibodies that fight off these invaders. And they can also act, they say, as kind of a billboard for other immune system cells where they display the antigen that's being targeted, helping the immune system identify the enemy. While some B cells become autoreactive, according to SF Gate, meaning they target our own healthy tissues, these autoreactive cells tend to remain basically inert. Dr. Robinson says his lab made a sequencing technology enabling them to pinpoint the B cells and then characterize them. And to their surprise, they found the Epstein-Barr virus infects the B cells that cause autoimmunity and lupus. What? Yes, the team discovered that people with lupus had 1 in 400 B cells infected with the Epstein-Barr virus instead of the 1 in 10,000 rate found in people without the condition. And while the virus usually stays dormant, it can push autoreactive B cells to create a viral protein that can kickstart the immune system to start attacking healthy tissues. The activated immune system then sends out B and T cells to fight off an imaginary infection, causing inflammation that damages skin, joints, kidneys, and other organs. Dr. Robinson says it not only infects the autoreactive B cells, but then it reprograms them into activated B cells that drive the whole autoimmune response. So they're hoping they can take this research and use it to find better treatments for lupus. The study, though, said to be groundbreaking. People think the findings here could help change the way that people with lupus are treated medically. Other doctors at UCSF calling the study really exciting, that the reason mechanistic explanation is so important is that it suggests possible therapeutics, so that there could be some now advances in the care of patients with lupus. Could lead to the development of new treatments that could put people with lupus into remission. Because the quote is from doctors at the University Medical Center at Vanderbilt that more than half of lupus patients don't respond adequately, underscoring a significant unmet need. So it's an exciting find, I would say. There is another study that shows listening to music could lower the risk of dementia. And I think what's interesting is that we've known patients with Alzheimer's, you maybe have seen videos of them hearing music from their youth, or music that they've played if they're musicians in life, and it's almost like it kickstarts their memory in some way. So it's not surprising to me that this would be the case, but perhaps this whole idea of music therapy, that there's something to it. So here's the study that listening to music could actually lower our risk of dementia. Listening to your favorite singers could be doing more than just lifting our mood. It could be protecting our brains as well. Now, I know that most of us don't listen to music going down what looks like an escalator and licking a lollipop, as the picture that I'm going to show you would indicate. But whether you've got your lollipop or not, oh, I'm sorry. Uh, it could be that you're not wasting time by listening to music. So here's the lollipop picture. Kind of funny. And then I'll tell you more about the study. There she is. The study indicates that, and it's done out of Australia, that older adults who regularly listen to music had a 39% lower risk of developing dementia compared to those who didn't make music a part of their lives. 39% lower risk. Well, this is something easy we can do, right? The research was published recently as part of an Asprey longitudinal study of older persons, and the sample size is big. They followed more than 10,000 adults aged 70 or older for about a decade to explore different lifestyle factors linked to healthy aging, and music was one of the areas they were interested in. They said they found that in that decade, the people performed better, consistently better, on the tasks of memory and also on a global cognitive function test. Of the 10,893 participants, 7,000 about said they listened to music most days, and those frequent listeners had the greatest reduction in dementia risk. They didn't say what kind of music is the most beneficial, but they say, and they also say the study can't prove that listening to music directly prevents dementia, but they say the results were strong enough to suggest that there's a possible link here. And we know that music can boost mood and stimulate multiple areas of the brain. The researchers say listening to music activates our motor areas, our sensor areas, and other regions that process emotion and imagination. One of the things, according to the director of the Princeton University's Music Cognition Lab, her name is Elizabeth Margolis, one of the things she says that seems to be really important is just getting all of those areas to talk to each other in meaningful ways. The study also found that playing it, provided a small but significant benefit, reducing dementia risk by about 35%. So neuroscientists say listening to music is neuroprotective, that it builds resiliency and it helps protect the brain by wiring new neural pathways. Fascinating. So this weekend, fire up the old stereo or the old whatever it is, or the new streaming platform, and listen to some music. Let's do that. Thank you to everyone for being part of this show, for contributing, for sending stories, and for all of the support this week with Mark in Colombia. I appreciate everyone so much for all of the ways you support the shows here on YouTube. And Louis says, I'm down. Any advantages to seeing live music? I saw 36 bands in 3 weeks this summer. Your neural pathways are super strong right now, my friend. This is amazing. Heather says, I've been obsessed with funk music lately. It's probably making me dumber. No, any music gets those pathways in your brain to light up and talk to each other, the different parts of your brain. I think it doesn't matter the music. Roll on. Absolutely. All right. Until we meet again, have a great weekend. Enjoy the classic movie of the week, Romeo and Juliet. And I will see you back here, hopefully, on YouTube on Monday when Mark returns. For now, bye, everybody.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
makes me feel fun. Tiny rebels makes me warm all over, with the feeling that I'm gonna love you till the end of time. Oh.
Yay! And also, boo! So happy for you, Heather. That's awesome. Hasta luego, mama. Thanks, Teacher Lori.